What's up, guys? Dan here, back with another video. Thanks so much for joining in with me. And today I want to talk about something that's not talked about too often in sim racing, and that is wheel adapters. Most people get into sim racing, they pick the brand wheel they want, they pick a rim out, they get that stuff, they set it up, they race with it, they never look back. But there are some of us that like to have a lot of options with the various different rims that we can actually use with our equipment. And me specifically, and I know a lot of other people, we like to use specific rims for specific occasions. The thing that we run into quite often is that a lot of brands are quite limited into what rims you can actually use. And so you have to go out and do some research and find out what kind of adapters are available for your specific brand of wheel and what kind of rims you can purchase and where you can get them from to work with those adapters. That way you can broaden your scope of rims that you have to use with sim racing. Now, I personally use Thrustmaster, and my favorite wheel out of everything I have, or my favorite rim, I should say, is my 599 Evo Alcantara. And I use that just about for everything. But you guys know probably I do a lot of truck simulations. I do a lot of Euro Truck Simulator. I do a lot of American Truck Simulator, both single player, online. I can't get enough of it. And for me personally, the 599 Evo was just a little bit too small. It wasn't really cutting it for me to get that feeling of driving in a truck. So I decided to go out and see what I could find. And I ended up going with this rim, which you guys may or may not have seen in other videos. This is a 15-inch wooden truck wheel, basically, or a use. It's for everything, but I'm using it for trucking. It's 15 inches, very large, very lightweight. That was important for me. I didn't want a very heavy wheel because it will take away from your force feedback, especially as the diameter gets larger. And this is what I decided on, and I had to go find out what kind of adapters were available for me. So the adapters will vary widely depending on the brand of wheel you're looking at. They change from Fanatic to Logitech to Thrustmaster to direct drive wheels. The scope is all over, so you have to be very careful when you do your research. Then, once you narrow down what adapters work with your wheel, you got to decide what kind you want. Now, I was going for a very realistic truck feel, so I knew that I didn't necessarily need to retain the buttons on my wheel. So for me, luckily, that dropped my price from over $100 sometimes, depending on what adapter you're looking for, down to in the 30s. And so I ended up purchasing two adapters because I wasn't sure which ones I wanted, but I knew I did not need buttons for at least what I was going to be doing with it. And I went with these two right here. Both of these serve the exact same purpose, but they are quite different. And so I wanted to, you guys may have ran into these if you're considering doing the same thing. So I wanted to just give you a few details on why one may be better than the other for your particular thing you're using it for. So I went ahead and purchased both, tried them both out. I'll tell you which one I prefer using, which one I actually use, and why that might be important to you. So I want to start off first by talking about, I will link both of these products down below in the description. I'm not getting any cutback from this. I purchased them off of eBay, and I'm going to link where I got these from in the description in case you're interested in them. These work with Thrustmaster wheels, but you need to remember you will not retain your buttons. So make sure you have other options for buttons like a button box or use your keyboard. You have to have something else accessible close by because you will not get those buttons you get on a standard rim. I want to emphasize that. But I didn't need those, like I said, so this would work for me. Both of these came in around 30 bucks. Okay, that's with shipping and everything. So it's pretty much the same price. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's start off with that. This one is clearly a ABS. It's strong, but it's an ABS plastic. Looks like it was probably printed off of someone's printing machine at home. You know what I mean? But it does do the trick. It's printed well and it works. I've used it. This one is obviously made of a steel, some kind of metal. It is much more durable. This one's going to last much longer than this one. Okay, so if you're just looking at these from a longevity standpoint, which one is going to last longer, you're going to want to pick up the metal one all day long. But what I do want to tell you is that attribute of this metal adapter can have a negative effect. In fact, the opposite effect of what you may be trying to accomplish. You want this to last a long time, and in fact it will, but you have to remember that you are screwing this metal adapter into your plastic wheelbase quick connect. So if you're going to look for an adapter and you're going to utilize it with some kind of rim or some kind of sim, I should say, that has heavy force feedback, rapid force feedback, your R factors, your iRacings, things like that. If your wheel is going to be moving a lot and you're going to be fighting the wheel, you have to keep in mind that this is so strong because it's made out of metal that it could impact or affect the longevity of the inside of the plastic quick connect on your wheel. Keep that in mind. Okay, this metal can wear down the plastic on the inside of the quick connect. So if you're going to be using this a lot with something, some kind of rally wheel or, you know, whatever model wheels, there's tons of them available. If you're going to be using this in one of those wheels, you're going to actually be sim racing with it, I would actually go with this. Because you're going to want this plastic to wear down first over time before the plastic on your wheelbase, because then you're going to have a lot of trouble. Okay, so that's what I want to emphasize mostly. Yes, metal, plastic, yes, that is the case here. You want to automatically go to this one, but you just have to keep that in mind. Okay, let me tell you why I ended up using this one. Number one, again, I'm only using it for my trucking wheel, Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator, and also Farming Sim a little bit. They don't have very heavy force feedback. It's not a fast force feedback. I'm not going to be putting very abrupt movements through the wheel. There's really next to no chance of this messing up my internals of my quick connect on my wheelbase with those kind of sims. So it's okay for me to use that. The other reason that I would consider using this one, and the reason why I used it, is because if you'll notice, let me see if I can get that. Okay, this one here, see how it has an indent there? Oh, it's like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch indent. This one is completely flat. They both have the hole in the middle, but this one is flat, and this one has got the indent. There's actually a reason for this, okay? This is the wheel, this is the horn that comes with most aftermarket rims that you get off eBay or Amazon or wherever. Do you see how they kind of stick out in the back? They specifically designed this wheelbase so that this would fit in it, like so, and you can utilize the horn button. So I want to show you something, and I know I'm getting a little long-winded on this, guys, but would you rather use this wheel like this? Because that's typically when you use an adapter, this is the way they look. You see just this and the bolts coming out of it. Or would you rather use it like this? To me, it gives more realism if I'm actually using the button here and I can actually see it, right? So for me, and the fact that I'm not using very heavy force feedback, for me, this one works out better for me. If I was going to put like any other kind of rim on here to actually sim race with, though, I would definitely use this one, because any of the issues with strength I don't want to come through on my wheelbase or my quick connect adapter that's made of plastic over there. I'd rather this just break if it came down to that. So if I was going to use this on an aftermarket like a rally wheel or racing steering wheel or something like that, and I was going to use it with a heavy force feedback game, this is the one that I would use. But again, they're roughly the same price. They're roughly, I believe they're about $30 again. I'll link them both down, and they both work fine. They both work perfect for what they are supposed to do. And if you don't need buttons, then these are really good options. The only other thing that I would add is that this one only has one bolt pattern. This is going to fit your standard, I believe it's 70 millimeter bolt pattern, which is pretty typical for racing wheels. You know, this is the typical bolt pattern. Most of them, I believe it's 70 millimeters, and most of them are going to be this. What I noticed about this one is it actually has the 70 millimeter bolt pattern also, because I've used it obviously on this wheel, but I only use half the holes. And if you notice, the outer ring, this one, this one, this one, that's the 70 millimeter ring. There's actually an offset one that's a little bit closer to the inside, maybe a 55 millimeter, 60 millimeter. I'm not sure what it is, but it's definitely an additional bolt pattern, meaning you can use this with various different size bolt pattern wheels. So if you end up accidentally purchasing a rim that is not the conventional 70 millimeter, or you found one that you really want that's not a conventional 70 millimeter, it'll probably work with this one also. But you're going to want to check the details on the website for the rim you're buying and the details here just to confirm that. But that's definitely what it's for. It's definitely for a several different kinds of bolt patterns. So yeah, so I ended up using this one just because I'm not using very high force feedback, but it would make me nervous to do anything else with this, because metal against plastic, the metal's going to win all day long, and you don't want your $200 to $500 quick connect on your wheelbase to get messed up, because as far as I know, without really taking them apart pretty good, there's no way to replace that. I believe it's connected. So anyways, guys, there is options out there to use any kind of aftermarket wheel, anything, really, anything you think of, as long as it's a traditional kind of bolt pattern. You can put pretty much any kind of rim on any kind of sim racing wheel, you name it. There is an adapter out there for it, I promise you. Most of the time you'll find it on eBay or maybe Amazon. And if you don't need the buttons, they're going to be $50 or less. And yeah, they work really, really good. So I just wanted to make a quick video because I had a couple people asking me about this and were curious how I was using this wooden wheel, and that's how I was using this adapter. And I will continue to use this adapter. So that's going to be it, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button. If you're new here, click the subscribe, and we've got many more videos coming. So thanks so much, as always, for hanging out with me for this one, guys. I'll talk to you in the next video.